Here's your weather video for this Sunday, October the 1st. I'm meteorologist Bill Murray. It's hard to believe we're already into the 10th month of the year. We just come through a warm and dry month of September, and we've got a little bit more warmth on the way for the next week, and at least some dry conditions too for a while. This is the upper pattern across North America on this Sunday morning, showing a big ridge of high pressure there over the Great Lakes, southern Canada. With a low off the east coast, ridging down into Alabama, and a big upper low there over the Four Corners region of the United States. Now, as we go through time, the ridge there over the Great Lakes begins to slide a little bit to the east. Low pressure to the east of us in the Atlantic begins to kind of reform back toward Florida, and that big trough there in the west gradually moves to the east and lifts out with time, setting up shop there over Hudson Bay in eastern Canada. Now, over Alabama, we see troughiness developing by late in the week into the weekend, and that spells a little bit cooler air coming our way. Perhaps a cold front. We'll be watching that. As we go to the week 2 period, it looks like pressures remain fairly low over Alabama, with very active northern branch of the jet stream system moving into Alabama there by the weekend of the 14th and the 15th. That sort of sets the stage for what to expect at the surface. Starting off this morning, quite comfortably here in Alabama, temperatures upper 50s north, lower 60s in central Alabama. Partly cloudy skies. Very nice night last night. Today's going to be a beautiful day. Very little in the way of clouds, light easterly wind. Temperatures topping out today in the generally in the lower and middle 80s. Could be a couple of upper 80s. We did hit 90 yesterday in Birmingham, which is the 10th time that happened in September. That's not too unusual. The average number of days with 90-degree readings in Birmingham in September is 9.2. But probably the dryness was the screaming story. We were short of 2 inches of rain at the Birmingham airport. I think that's right. The total rainfall 1.94 inches. We would expect 4 inches normally, and we're going into our driest month. So as you've probably seen some forecasts showing a little bit of a flash drought beginning to develop over Alabama, and that's not good news. But maybe we'll get back to a little more normal precipitation as we get toward the end of October and into November. The surface maps on the GFS on the Sunday morning showing that big ridging high pressure there over the eastern United States, the Midwest, the Great Lakes states, down into Alabama. As we go through time on your Sunday, again, high temperatures in the 80s, nothing in the way of rain anywhere near Alabama. As you move into Monday, the high pressure is still completely in charge over the eastern half of the country. We see a low there moving into South Dakota by early Tuesday with another trailing low there in the Oklahoma Panhandle. Lots of precipitation over the northern plains into the central and southern plains. Return fetch off the Gulf of Mexico, bringing showers to the Texas coast. Look there, a little bit of snowfall developing parts of Wyoming, western Montana, sign of the times as we go deeper into fall. That low pressure there in southern Canada deepens and moves on up to the north. Showers and thunderstorms. The battleground remains there from the Midwest, parts of Iowa through Missouri, back into eastern Kansas and Oklahoma. But Alabama remaining high and dry. Right on into midweek, high temperatures still in the middle 80s each day, overnight lows in the 60s. That same pattern continues on Thursday. The battleground, though, beginning to shape up a little more clearly. The trough lifting out to the northeast. No moisture has been able to work its way into Alabama. The moisture mainly limited to the southern sections. We've got a hurricane there developing in the eastern Pacific, but nothing threatening Alabama or the United States in the way of tropical conditions over the next 2 weeks. Get into Friday night, some showers will move back into the area, but it doesn't look like rainfall amounts will be very pronounced. A little better along the Gulf Coast into southern Alabama on Saturday, but the rain is out of central and north Alabama by then. A little bit cooler behind the front. Winds shift around to the north. We get into Sunday. We'll be in the probably middle 70s on Saturday for the most part. Some areas of North Alabama won't get out of the 60s on Sunday. Central sections in the lower 70s. Then as we go into the week 2 period, we're getting into voodoo. But it appears that Alabama remains dry there on Monday. Tuesday, some showers to the north. Wednesday, we're still dry. A little bit of an easterly wedge developing there by Wednesday night and Thursday, supplying some moisture that will be there to nourish a cold front coming down into Alabama. Showers and thunderstorms, a possibility that Thursday the 12th, Friday the 13th. But as we get into the weekend, it looks like conditions will be fairly dry. Checking on the tropics this morning, Rena will probably become post-tropical later today or tomorrow. That system finally beginning to weaken as it moves off to the north. Felipe looks dangerously close to the northern leeward there. Top winds 50 miles an hour. It will miss the islands by at least 150 to 175 miles. And as it continues to the northwest, it will be moving away. All the winds, of course, on the eastern side of the storm, or at least for the most part. So no danger of any tropical storm force winds there in the northern leewards. As we go through time, Rena dissipates. Felipe actually eventually begins to gain a little strength, encountering a little shear there early, but as it begins to strengthen a bit early in the week, Monday and Tuesday, GFS not as bullish as the Hurricane Center is, expecting it to become probably an 80 or 90 mile per hour hurricane by Wednesday or Thursday. It should be passing, though, well east of the Bermuda, some 500 miles or so to the east, becoming a larger storm and moving on off. Now, that was the 0Z run. If we switch over to the 18Z run here so we can see the end of the period, you can see the storm. They're beginning to sort of gradually lose steering currents and will gradually weaken over the North Atlantic. Probably no threat to the Azores. As you can tell, though, nothing else happening across the Atlantic over the next 2 weeks. So maybe the tropical season will begin to slow down. These temperatures off the national blend of models showing the daily highs and lows. Expecting highs stay around 85. Again, the same tomorrow and Tuesday. 84 on Wednesday, falling back into the lower 80s Thursday and Friday. A bit cooler Saturday, much cooler on Sunday. And then as we get into the week 2 period, temperatures a little bit below normal, 73 to 76 there. For the Birmingham area, 51 to 54, you can expect, 4 or 5 degrees cooler to the north, 2 or 3 degrees cooler to the south over portions of south central Alabama. Well, Weather Brains, Weekly Netcast is all about weather. Be talking about mesonettes tomorrow night with an expert from the Indiana Office of Climatology. That'll be a fun show. Beth Hall will be joining us tomorrow night. Of course, a great show this past week. Dr. Neil Jacobs talking all about models. Well, that's your weather video for this Sunday, October 2nd, October 1st. Getting ahead of myself already. We'll have notes on the blog, an update on the forecast coming up at noon. James will be back for 2 days tomorrow. Scott, I'll see you next Saturday. I'll get the chance on Sunday. And until I do, as I always tell you, keep an eye to the sky because you'll always have something fun to look at.